Why, hello there! Today is going to be a review of the uh, archetype of exosisters. This archetype comprises of uh, four main deck monsters, three spells, one trap, and five extra deck monsters. I have three copies of each one of them in this deck you can see right here. Um, First off, I'll talk about lore. Lore-wise, they are sisters of a church, is my guess, and they all specialize in exorcisms. Why is that important? Well, you will see once you look at their effects. I'll go more into detail on why their effects have to do with their lore after I label all their effects. Now, let's start off with the main deck monsters. Their names are Ellis, Irene, Stella, and Sophia. There are only four of them, and there's actually a fifth one in the OCG. We will talk about her at the end of uh, my mentioning of this deck, of my explanation of the deck. All right, to start off, they all of the main deck monsters have a two composite system for their effects. First off, they have an effect that they activate from being in your hand or on your field. And on that primary effect, it also has a secondary effect, the composite part, which also allows you to gain extra life points. Now, how does this work? Well, Ellis can summon herself from your hand by you just controlling an exosister on your field. Then, if you have Stella on your field, which this is Stella, if you have Stella on your field, you gain 800 life points. It's the same for all the other ones. If you have Stella on your field and activate Ellis's effect, you gain 800. If you activate Ellis's effect and have Stella on the field, then you still gain 800. Same thing the other way around. For Irene and Sophia, same way. Irene's effect when Sophia's on the field, gain 800. When Sophia's effect activates when Irene's on the field, gain 800. And so Ellis summons herself from your hand when you have an exosister on the field. Irene can place an exosister from your hand to the bottom of your deck, then draw a card. Then, if you have Sophia, again, you can add 800 to your life points. Stella, you can special summon an exosister from your hand. Then, if you have Ellis on your field, or yes, if you have Ellis on the field, then you gain 800. Same thing for Sophia, but different primary effect. If you have an exosister on your field, you draw a card. Then, if you have Irene on your field, then you gain 800. They also have a secondary effect, a secondary separate effect, which is the same for all four of them. If a card moves out of either one of your graveyards, you or your opponent, or a third opponent, if that actually happens, except for during the damage step, because, of course, except for during the damage step, apparently, you can special summon an Exosister Xyz monster using this card face up on your field. You can Xyz summon whenever something is moved from the graveyard. It's very useful in some situations, like in the battle phase, if your opponent moves something in the graveyard, or you could actually activate another card effect to move a card in your graveyard just to get that extra Xyz summon. It's really usable after a while, and it's effective. Now, to the spells. There are three spells, Armament, Pax, and Carpe Diem. Armament is a quick play spell card You can pay 800 life points. That's why the gain 800 life points is so important. Pay 800, special summon. You get to exceed summon an exos. You can exceed summon one of their monsters from the extra deck by using any monster on your field that has a different name. Any exosister monster it, on your field. I mean, with a different name. So you can use Ellis with this to summon Mickey Ellis, Caspatel, so on and so forth. And so it's very effective after a while. And if you do it with an Xyz monster, then the Xyz materials are transferred. So it's quite effective. Now, it portrays straight over to Carpet Devium, which I'll explain in just a moment. But first, Pax, because Pax is very simple. Quick play spell, pay 800 during the main phase, yours or your opponent's main phase. Also for Armament, you can only activate it during your opponent's main phase, but if your opponent has a special summon monster that came from the graveyard, then you can activate it during yours as well. Now, back to Pax, pay 800, and then add an Exosister card from your deck to your hand. If you add a monster, and you have the Exosister within its card text on your field or in the graveyard, you can special summon it. For instance, if you add Ellis to your hand, if you have Stella on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon Ellis. Vice versa, and then same thing with Irene and Sophia. Irene summoned to the field if Sophia is on the field or in the graveyard. And so Pax is very effective in that situation. Now, to the one that we've all been waiting for, Carpet Devium. Now, Carpet Devium is a spell card that stays on the field, as you can see from the infinite sign, and a continuous spell card, as I probably should be calling it. And it has the constant effect of neither player can target exosister monsters you control with effects of monsters that came from the graveyard. So, if there is a monster that was summoned from the graveyard, it cannot target exosisters with their card effects. Now, it's quite weak against some cards, but it's really effective against others. So use it at the right timing. Well, or at no timing at all, since it's a constant spell card. Now, it also has 2 extra effects that can only be activated once per turn, each. If you exceed summon an Exosister, you can pick any card, any name of a card, and that card cannot activate its effect. No matter what. Whatever card you pick, you could pick literal Drytron Fafnir, or like even Assault Mode. Even Stardust Assault Mode. It's effective. In all honesty, it's really effective. And tying that with Armament, you can use Armament on your opponent's turn to stop them from using whatever boss monster they're planning on using, and then Carpet Devium to make sure that that boss monster is stopped from activating its effects. So it's effective. Unless if they're literally just using a Blue Eyes deck, then this deck is still effective. Back to the point at hand. It also has the final effect of when an attack is declared involving your Exosister monster, you can target a spell or trap, destroy it. Well, a spell or trap on your opponent's field. So basically, if your opponent's monster attacks your Exosister, you can destroy spell or trap on your opponent's field. If your exosister attacks an opponent's monster, destroy a spell or trap, or even if you use your monster, your exosister, to attack your opponent directly, you can still destroy a spell or trap. It gets really effective after a while. Now, the last main deck card is Venus. Venus is the only trap currently in the TCG. There's one in the OCG, as you can see right here, Litania, but currently that's not up for play, so we're only talking about Venus right now. You, yet again, since it's a trap, you have to activate it a turn after you played it. Pay 100 life points, just like any other spell or trap. Then you can pick a exosister from your deck, and then you can take another exosister that's within her card text, and then also special summon them both, but at the end phase, shuffle them back into the deck. And lastly, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, except for exosisters. You can only activate this once per turn, because of course it would be overpowered if it activated more than once. Pre-prepared double XCs is probably very frightening. Especially with this deck in terms of, yeah, they got good extra deck monsters, really good ones. And so if you use them for an XC summon, then they don't get shuffled back into the deck since they're technically not the same monsters they were beforehand. Now, off to the other cards of the archetype. The extra deck cards. Their effects are, each one of them has 3 primary effects for all 4 of the rank 4s. And then the rank 8 is something else entirely. I have to talk about that separately. So to start off, Gabrine. All 4 of them have a starting effect. Some of them have the same starting effect. Like for Gabrine, cannot be destroyed by the effects of monsters summoned from the graveyard. And nicely enough, a Sophiel also has the same effect. Now, in terms of Caspitel, and Michaelis, it actually cannot be destroyed by battle by monsters from the graveyard. Now, they also have a secondary effect. This secondary effect can only activate if they were summoned utilizing exosisters. Now, for Gabrine, if it was XC summoned using exosister monsters, you can negate the effects of an effect monster on your opponent's field. So, Cyber Dragon Infinity, just much weaker. Now, a Sophiel, same requirement, summon with Exosister, and then no player can activate graveyard effects, cards from the graveyard, and their effects, until the end of this turn. So basically, no Despot 1 for any Despot users. Now, Caspitel. The secondary effect is, if it is XC summoned using an Exosister, neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard until the end of this turn. A very, very useful card against a very, very specific deck utilized by my dear friend and rival, Twins Heist Manager, THM. Ah, yes. Taken down by a simple rank 4. Now, Michaelis also has the effect of banishing a card on your opponent's field or graveyard. This is a quick effect. None of the others are quick effects. Actually, except for Gibran. So basically, Cyber Dragon Infinity just for an effect monster. And then also banishing a card in your opponent's graveyard or on their field. Effective all of themselves. And lastly, they have a final effect which goes to them particularly, and it's the reason why they're Xyz monsters. You can detach one material from Gibran. All Xyz monsters on the field gain 800 until end of turn. So, the greatest part is the fact that if you summon Gibran and then use her for Magnifica, Magnifica still gets the attack boost. Because if Gibran is removed from the field, all cards still obtain the attack boost. Now, for a Stonefield, you can pop an opponent's monster back to their hand from their field, which is effective all in itself. Also, nice bow. And is that a gun? No idea. Gun, bow. What's next? A lance? Oh wait, no. It's Kukulkan. Add an exosister from your deck to your hand as her effect. Next, we got Saber. Nice. Add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So, we got Rider Artoria, which allows you to give all other Xyz cards on your field 800 attack points until end of turn. You got Archer, which returns a monster on your opponent's field to the hand. We got Lancer, which add an exosister to your hand. And Saber, which adds exosister trap to your hand. All those are effective by themselves, but then if you actually work a couple of them together, then it becomes very annoying. You can remove up to, I've been able to remove up to maybe 3 to 4 cards off of my opponent's field, which is frightening in all honesty. Now, what's the point of having a whole bunch of extra deck monsters if you don't have a boss monster? Rank 8. Exosisters Magnifica. This card is actually supposed to act like if it was 2 Exosisters, which the fact that it has 2 of them on its art, and it's called Exosisters, and the fact that it requires 2 Xyz monsters, and it can attack twice. You heard me right, it can attack twice. It requires 2 Exosisters. It cannot be summoned any other way. Well, Xyz summoned any other way. 2 attacks, and a once per turn quick effect, so you can activate it on your opponent's turn. Detach a material and banish a card your opponent controls. This is why I stated banishing is very likely to happen while using this deck, because you're going to banish everything they have. And I'm not joking. And lastly, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, so you can do it on your opponent's turn as well, you can literally use this card as an Xyz material to summon the card that it has as its Xyz material. It's a weird but amazing combo that you can do. It's astonishing. You can use these monsters to summon Magnifica, and then, I mean, pop their second. Well, you can't pop any of their effects again, but it's still effective, though. Anyway, now it's off to the dueling section of my video. Well, actually, let's talk about the other cards I added in. Just Gigabyte, Inari Fire, Nefarious Eater, Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness, and Ranrio, Star Drawing, Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, and Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness. That is the entirety of the deck, and now it is off to the dueling portion of this video to show the actual usage of this deck. Alright, we will be playing against a Drag Unity AI while using our exosisters. For most of these videos, I am planning on using a AI for this because I have no idea what insanity they're going to bring up in Master Duel, and he already have Assault Piece. Now, as you can see in my hand, I already have a pretty nice setup right now. So I'll start off by normal summoning Ellis, might as well. Activate packs to allow me to obtain a copy of the last one, which is Stella. Stella's effect activates, summoning herself. Nefarious Eater of Nefariousness summons himself to the field. Start off by using my monsters to summon my Caspitel, because when you summon Caspitel, she first off no graveyard summons, but secondly, she has the added effect of adding another Ellis to my hand from my deck. Oh look, I have Stella. But hey, might as well use Stella to summon Ellis. I mean, just the proper way of doing things. Oh, look at that. I'm back up to 8,000. Who would have known? But yet, I can do this. I can, yet again, Xyz summon. Now, I activate Cabrine's effect. All Xyz monsters on the field, on my field, gain extra attack points. And now, I use them both for Magnifica. There we go. Extra attack points. I activate Magnifica's effect, sending Caspitel to graveyard to pop Assault Beast. Now, this is when I'd hoped I didn't do the mess up part here. And in terms of they have that. But yes, it's effective. So I can attack again with this monster. And lastly, I can end my turn. I should have put packs on the field. Either way, it's fine. Because Nefarious Eater of Nefariousness summons himself to the field yet again. Because he is amazing and the best card in the entire game. Because Nefarious Eater of Nefariousness, well, Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness, is just such a legend all in himself. I mean, seriously. And no, I won't activate the secondary effect because I could just normal summon. And then I can just go into my Caspitel. Then I'll activate my monster's effect, and I'll stop Mirror Force because that is probably what most people are using. Now, I activate Caspitel's effect to actually detach Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness, to add a monster to my hand. Which one? I will add Stella to my hand. As you can see, I made a mistake a minute ago. I was supposed to summon a different monster. But might as well just attack with Caspitel and to destroy that one card right in the middle, which is Assault Mode Activate. Good, because that card is very, very annoying. Now let's see, they did nothing. Alright. Now, I normal summon Stella. Stella's effect activates, summoning Irene to my field, which allows me to summon Gabrine. Then Gabrine's effect activates, removing Stella from my field. I activate Caspitel, removing Ellis from herself. For me to add, let's see. I add Sophia to my hand. Then I'll go into the special summoning of Magnifica. And then I shall continue picking Mirror Force. And then I'll activate Magnifica's effect, sending Caspitel to graveyard to banish the monster. And then hopefully, good, I destroy the face down. Alright. And I have won the duel quite easily, dare I say. Now the second duel in place. This time it should be much, much better. I will activate Ash Blossom just because screwing with the opponent is fun. Now, do I have enough to kill them? Quite definitely. Should I? Quite definitely. So, now I normal summon Irene. Then special summon Nefarious Eater of Nefariousness. Special summon Inari Fire. Special summon Jacobite. Then I'll go into a special summon. Let's see. This one is... I want the one which banishes, which is her. I will go for her. I will use Irene and, of course, Nefarious Archfiend of Eater of Nefariousness, just because he's a legend. Then I summon Gabrine, utilizing my Jacobite and Inari Fire. Then I activate Michaelis' effect. I shall banish the face-down card on my opponent's field, which, quite nicely, is Dragon Mirror. Why does he have Dragon Mirror? I have no idea. I activate Gabrine's effect, detaching a material. I activate Michaelis' effect, detaching nefariousness. Let's see. Yes, Feller Trap. Now, Pax. Now, why is Pax effective? This is why. Ellis. Great. I was planning on special summoning another exosister, but apparently I did not pay attention to which one I actually had. Because in the graveyard, I did not have Ellis, I had Irene. So, next time, I shall pay attention. I shall activate Magnificent's effect, detaching Ellis to banish the field spell. Attack directly, and leave the opponent with 800 life points. Now what will they do? Oh, yet again, Dragon Ravine. But you know what? Magnificent's effect activates. Now, banish one card my opponent controls. By doing that, banish. I mean, of course, Nefarious Archfiend Eater. Nefariousness, then Star Drawing, just because, then Fire, then I special summon into my Lancer, cast Patel, using an Ari, not an Ari Fire, Nefarious Eater of Nefariousness. Then cast Patel's effect activates, sending Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness to my graveyard to add Exosister Ellis. Ellis's effect activates, special summon herself. Now, I special summon my amazing Archer. Archer's effect activates. Then I shall not activate her effect, but instead I shall use them both to summon the boss monster. Activate the boss monster's effect. Just because. Pop. Mystical Space Typhoon. Apparently it was nothing to be afraid of. And as you can see, I won yet again. That was an easy battle, easy couple of battles. Why? Because this archetype is amazing. My desk bots aren't very good against that deck. This deck loves just messing with people mid-strategies because they can pop cards whenever they want to, and I have not seen a hand that was unplayable so far when I have played them, and I have been through like maybe 10, 12 duels with them. This archetype is an amazing archetype in terms of playability, and just the cards also just look nice. It's the fact that they're compatible with Utopia, which is very nice. You could add the extra deck monsters to Utopia. The boss monsters you have to be wary because they require exosisters. Also, you could add Utopia to the deck. But remember, Armand, I think it was Armand. No, not Armand. It was Carpedivia. Was it? Oh, Vedas. Yes, it was Venus that traps you into exosister extra deck monsters. So be wary of that if you use Utopia in this deck, because you cannot use Venus and then Utopia. Other than that, the archetype is amazing. Gameplay is really good, even at this very simple build of the deck. And in all honesty, it is far worth any time you need to put into actually obtaining the deck, because even at its bare bones, even with just these cards, even without Ash Blossoms, it would be a very, very usable and nice deck to use. And I would suggest it very much so to get a copy of the deck for yourself, and so that you can actually play it. And now that is the end of my review of the amazing archetype of Exosister, and also the amazingly effective card of Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness, for it is the card that won me the duel in most of these circumstances. Now, have a very nice day, and please take a look at my friend's channel, the guy that I've been mentioning throughout this entire video. His channel is called THM, Twins Heist Manager, and he does also create nice videos. And if you want the competitive version of this deck, I'm working with him, and I'm going to try to get him to create a competitive version just because I want to use it, and I'm too lazy to build a competitive version of the deck. And also, it's his job in our predicament. And so, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope you like my content enough to continue learning more about these archetypes that may not be explained very well in other places. Have a nice day.